know for certain is that Carmilla is staying in the room. And Laura is saying, don't tell Carmilla about this, because she gets more scared than I do. Camilla's not scared of anything. But this is the face that she is giving. Yeah? She's playing a part. And she's playing it very well. Because you are inside in this knowledge. You know what she really is. Yeah. And you really know that she's the most dangerous thing in that household. She is the most dangerous thing in that country. And you know that Laura's in danger. But it's cleverly not telling you that. Yeah? You see that? So, what this is about, this skill is about sighting what is there. The sky was green. You know the sky is not green. But what you have to do is put the answers that are there in the text. You know Carmilla's dangerous. But, why does he keep doing that? You know she's dangerous, but nothing there tells you she's dangerous. So the skill is to go above what your own instincts are telling you. Ignore them. You know the sky is blue. You've got to say it's green if that's what the text tells you. So is there anything there that tells you Carmilla's dangerous? No. Okay. All okay? Understand? So, have you got the skill just to lift? For any of your exams, you've just got to lift the information out. Forget what you know to be fact. Yeah? Okay. So now, we come on to anti-heroes. So what does that mean? What are anti-heroes? Joanna, we've had in our work where we said the protagonist. So the protagonist in a piece of fiction is the hero, the central character. We might have heroes, we might have heroines, female heroes, the central character, the guys that always do the right thing. Now we've got the anti-heroes. What do you think they are? Not sure? Okay, no problem. Originally, we would say we have the good guys who are the heroes, the bad guys that are the villains. And they fight with each other. In cowboy fiction, the good guys wear the white hats, the bad guys wear the black hats. Now, we don't. We have anti-heroes. So, these are the villains, but there is something about them that you still quite like. So, let's have a look. Originally, a thing of fear and disgust. Something that you were afraid of, and you were disgusted by. Little by little, the vampire grew to be seen as a tragic figure. You're scared of them, all right. However, above that, as a tragic figure. Something bad has happened to them. Lonely and often misunderstood. Dark, brooding and seductive. Closely aligned, seductive, closely aligned to alluring. The image of the vampire haunts the modern consciousness. This was written in 2009 by Jules Taylor. Okay, so you're not saying villain anymore. You're actually saying an anti-hero. Bad, yes. Does something bad, but not really bad in themselves. Originally a thing of fear and disgust. So originally, before, something to be scared of and to be disgusted by. Now, little by little, bit by bit, the more we read, the more we know, we're saying vampires grew to be seen as a tragic figure. What does that mean? Tragic figure. So what's a tragedy? If something is tragic, what is it? Is it something good? No, it's something bad. So, grew to be seen as a tragic figure. Somebody or something that something bad has happened to. So, did he start off a vampire? No. He actually started off as a normal guy, doing the right thing. And in this story, in 1918, there was a huge pandemic, like we've got now, and it was flu, bit like now, and he was in a hospital bed, and he was dying. In 1918, of Spanish flu. The only way to save him was his doctor bit him, because his doctor was a vampire, and that was the only way to save him. So the vampire saved his life. Is he now scary? He saved his life. A vampire saved his life. Is he now scary? No. So this thing has happened to him. He got well again. But he's now a vampire. The only thing is, the vampire that bit him is a good vampire. He said they survive on the blood of animals, not humans. They don't prey on humans. So he's a good vampire, and has taught him to be the same. So now, is he something to be scared of and disgusted by? No. He says we see ourselves as vegetarians. We don't eat humans. You know, we eat meat, animals. So now, we're suddenly not scared of him anymore. Yes? So now they're saying, this bad thing happened to him. So now we're saying, he's a tragic figure. Somebody that something bad has happened to. He was going to die. And a kind vampire said the only way to save your life is until I bite you. And in this particular story, this vampire, this doctor, he was a doctor, bit his wife as well because she had Spanish flu too. The only way to save their lives, suddenly they're not scared anymore. Because we're not saying that they're violent. They're doing it for good reasons. Yeah? So often misunderstood. We know what we read. Bad, 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 bad. Then look a bit deeper. The bad has suddenly become a good reason, right? Yeah? So, dark, brooding, yes, dark, because of the sunlight issue. Brooding, he's quite angry about it. He's saying, why me? Yeah? A bit of an angry young man, but not bad. Yeah? So it haunts a very modern consciousness. We kind of like understand now that it's not all bad. So here we go. Tom Cruise in Interview with the Vampire, from the book. These are all books first. Robert Pattinson in Twilight. These are not stereotypically what we think of as monsters. Because actually underneath, they're very decent people. Interview with the Vampire, from Anne Rice's books. He's actually giving an interview to a reporter and says, nobody, this house is full of vampires and nobody will hurt this reporter until I tell my story. I tell them, and then nobody hurts him, you let him go freely. And nobody does. Nobody hurts this reporter while the staff vampire gives his story. Robert Pattinson in Twilight, vampire with a soul, with a conscience. He says we're vegetarians, we don't hurt people. Yeah? So what qualities do we look for in a hero? Kind. Brave. Good adjectives. Kind and brave. What qualities do you look for in a female hero, a heroine? Any different? Kind, brave.
Adventurous.
Yep. Definitely. Think of anything? No? Do you agree with Joanna? Kind, brave, adventurous? Yep. Yep. We look for all of those. So can a character who does evil things ever be considered a hero?
No.
No? No?
No. He's a villain. He's an enemy.
Yeah, a villain. A villain. Out and out villain. Yeah? So here he is. He's the hero. In the Twilight films and in the books, he's the hero.
Yeah.
He's the vampire that does no harm. His whole family are vampires who do no harm. Their father, if you like, is a doctor. Their mother does charity work.
Yeah.
They're vampires. They fight other vampires. They keep them away. The father protects them all. These are all lost souls. He like adopts them. Yeah, they become his children, and he's got about 8 of them. They become his sons and daughters, and he trains them to be vampires who do no harm, who look after humans, protect humans. So suddenly, but you know in the past he's done bad things. You know in the past, before he was trained, he's caused a lot of problems. But yet, can he be forgiven? Because he's now good? Can we forgive his past?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because he's good now, we forgive him. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, this is before you were trained, before you knew the other way. There you go. So what you're doing now is you're turning an anti-hero into a hero. He's a hero that's done bad things. But now he doesn't. So we've forgiven him, so now he's the hero. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so dream as if you'll live forever. Live as if you'll die today. This quote is commonly attributed to James Dean, the Robert Pattinson of the 1950s, who died in a car crash aged 25, but whose afterlife of fame and fortune continues unabated. So we still all know James Dean, who said, live fast and die young. Okay? So, question, would you like to live forever?
Yeah.
Would you like to live forever?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah? What would you hope to see? To live forever?
What's gonna happen?
Yeah?
In the coming years.
What's going to happen? So it's about knowledge.
Yeah.
Knowledge gaining. Why would you like to live forever? Just because the alternative doesn't seem that appealing, yeah? Just because, you know, living forever is better than not living forever, right? Yes, is that right? Yeah. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I always think, no, maybe 85 is enough for me, thank you. Okay, fine. So, the genre of Gothic is not all vampires. They're a big part of it. However, it's not all. So if it's not all vampires, what is it? My question for you, what is Gothic?
You mean Dracula?
Well, it's not all vampires, no. It's a big part, you're right. Dracula is part of the Gothic movement, and it is huge in classic literature. Okay, this is the first time that you ventured into genre, I believe. Am I right? Okay. Be easy on yourselves, okay? This is all about learning. As long as you understand my words, I'm not expecting you to understand straight away, oh yeah, I'm a world authority on Gothic literature. You don't need that. As long as you understand the words that I'm saying, yeah? And stop me if you don't, so I can explain. All okay? All right. We don't need that, we don't even want that, because that's not learning. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, what do we need to learn? We need to develop an understanding of what is meant by the term Gothic. Yep. So, we know that we've got that. Our success criteria is to respond intuitively. So, for you to just know what is Gothic and what isn't. Respond intuitively to Gothic images and ideas. So pictures and ideas. Not saying classic literature now. To analyse the conventions of Gothic literature, what makes it Gothic literature? And believe me, every year, IG and GCSE stick Gothic literature on their exams. You would get an extract, or you'll be asked to read a novel, Gothic literature, every year. It is so big, it's so huge. To create my own Gothic texts, making use of conventions. So for you to be able to write something Gothic yourself. So, what is it? So, here we go. This is basically a game here. So pair the images according to shared traits. So, what images can you see? What's number one?
It's light.
Yep. Is it Gothic?
No. The blood is not scary.
No, it's not.
Yeah. It's like, it's blood. Not
This
scary about it.
is Gothic.
Yeah.
Was there any sign of blood in there at all?
No.
No. It's not. It's very, very modern. This comes from almost like the zombie type films that I can't bear. Okay? Here, you've got a full moon. Is it Gothic? Yes, yes. It is setting the scene for you. Think about Transylvania, those mountains, that heavy forest, all of the trees together, the moon rising above those trees. Yeah? It's Gothic. This bird in the tree, is it Gothic? No. It is seen as Gothic because of a particular Gothic novel, the writer Edgar Allan Poe wrote a lot, one of his called The Raven, one of these black birds. But it is not, because it was only Edgar Allan Poe that wrote this. So it's not typical. Tree stump? No, no. So what do we have here? A room with a picture on the wall?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Yes. You're getting the idea now. Yes, very much. This.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness me, they're getting there. Yes. How many times have we had castles? Yes? Yeah. So, what is happening here? Let me see if I can make it larger so we can see. We can see more. A girl in a ruined building, broken building? No. No. Skeletons?
No.
No. This effigy? Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay, so to recap, it is all about the atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're not skeletons. We're not this girl.
Yeah.
We're not tree stumps.
Yeah.
It is anything atmosphere. And these are not scary images, are they? Is there anything there that scares you? No. No. Your mind is the greatest book or paint palette in the world. If you can imagine it, your brain has more power to imagine. My brain tends to imagine stuff all the time. Okay, so this is a world of Gothic. So the word Gothic can refer to a medieval style of architecture, not particularly scary, right? Architecture, buildings, style of buildings, characterised by pointed arches and ornate stone masonry. So this is a Gothic building. Amazing, isn't it? Nothing about vampires, nothing scary. It's about a building. A gloomy, morbid style of fashion. and makeup dominated by the colour black.
Yeah.
Here she is. My daughter went through this. I've got red shoes on. I'm not gothic. My daughter went through this. Age 14, I had to hide the black clothes because that's all she wore. Yeah? So, gothic. Is it scary?
No.
No. A gloomy, morbid genre of music, popular in the early 1980s. So Gothic is also a style of music. So we've got buildings, we've got fashion sense, we've got music. Nothing about vampires. Yeah? A genre of literature focused on terror that was first popularised in the 18th century by Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto. Okay, so the word here is terror. Why does it not say horror? Why does it say terror? Very deliberate use of language.
It's more powerful.
It is, but also it's something completely different. Terror is, it might not look scary, but your brain, like I said to you, you know what Carmilla is, but nothing here is telling you that she's going to harm Laura in any way. You know she is. It's great use of terror. It's asking your brain to make the connection between Carmilla and the text that doesn't say that. It's asking you, your brain, to work. So it's not horror. It's not blood and guts and gore and other unpleasant things like that. It's very psychological. Terror, not horror. Okay? Big difference. I don't like horror at all.
Yeah.
Will I read psychological? Yes. But not horror. Okay, so this is etymology. So this is the origins. So you're going back to the Goths. Well, where did that come from? Gothic? Where did that come from? Of the Goths. So who were the Goths? Over to you. You tell me who the Goths were.
The Goths were an East Germanic tribe who helped to bring about the fall of the Roman Empire, ushering in the medieval period.
Over to you.
They had a fierce reputation as being violent and barbaric. However, despite initially practicing
Paganism.
paganism, they converted to Christianity during the 4th century.
Okay, so these were real people. An Eastern German tribe who helped to bring about the fall of the Roman Empire. Who said, hey, Romans, stop invading countries. Stop taking other people's countries and push them out. So some would say a good thing, right? Yeah? You were a Roman province here. My country was a Roman province too. Ushering in the medieval period. So, without them, we wouldn't have had any medieval period in history. They had a fierce reputation as being violent and barbaric. I would say they were people of their time. This was the 4th century, 4th and 5th. So, I think things were done differently then. Yes? However, despite initially practicing paganism, so being of the old religion that looked to the moon and the sun and the elements, the earth, plants growing, things like that, they converted to Christianity during the 4th century. They became Christians. Okay, fine. So, Gothic sense. Okay? So, Gothic with a capital G, being a proper noun, refers to a specific genre or movement, e.g. Gothic literature, requires a capital G. So when I wrote it up there, I wrote it with a capital G, that's why. Gothic in lowercase, an adjective, describes something as being Gothic in a general sense. So I could say my daughter wore Gothic style clothes when she was 14. Small G. She'll really hate me for telling you that now. She's 25. She'll hate me. Even without being taught it, people tend to have this sense of what Gothic is and are able to recognise it. Yep. Certainly where I'm from. Yourselves? You guys too or not? Okay, it says even without having been taught it, people tend to have a sense of what Gothic is and are able to recognise it. Certainly where I'm from. You see girls, young girls, we're all in black with sometimes things like paper clips and metal, very heavy black makeup, goth. Yeah? So you tend to know here too, yes? So you know what it is without having been taught it. You have a sense of it, yeah? Which of these fonts could be described as Gothic? Font 1, font 2, font 3, font 4, font 5, or font 6? Which one could be described as Gothic?
Font.
Yeah, which one?
4, font 5.
This one?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Why? I'm pushing you, I'm so sorry. Okay, I will lead you here. This is standard type. This is type for children. This is bold type.
Yeah.
Standard, standard. This one, do you see it's got the foot here,
Yeah.
the flourishes. We're looking at flourishing. So, what you're looking for is this.
Yeah.
These flourishes make it Gothic. Yeah? So this goes back to architecture again. Okay. So here is your timeline. Timeline will help you in anything in English. Whatever subject, it will help you. So, Walpole's The Castle of Otranto is credited as being the first Gothic novel. The Gothic sensibilities stretch back to the Dark Ages. The emergence of a literary genre coincides with a revived interest in medievalism and a growing public fascination in the supernatural. So here it is. It starts in 1764. Why are we missing? What are we missing? Okay, fine.